This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining the day one session. Started sharing my screen. I hope screen share is also visible. So let's go ahead and straight away jump to our chapter one. I'm just showing you the core syllabus. So chapter one deals with introduction towards the concepts of API, the basics of API, client and server architecture, and a three-tier architecture model. Okay, I'll keep you on mute, Joy. There is an echo I'm getting. But when you have questions, you can always unmute and let me know this. So, like I said, we'll start with our chapter one now. Okay, so we are starting with it. So, I would like to probably ask you guys, what is an API? Is it something that you are already aware of? What's your understanding about what is an API? Anyone else has an answer from your perspective? What exactly is an API? Okay, so let me take it. See, an API typically stands for Application Programming Interface. And from a definition perspective, the definition is so big that probably, if I give the definition now, it looks like a bookish definition, but we'll try to do justification to the definition by understanding practically what exactly is an API, why the need of an API has come into picture. So let me write here 2 points. API stands for Application Programming Interface, right? And I will write the definition after giving you one practical example. So think of one enterprise application, meaning a software. Let us say this is my software, and I will say this is probably one of the e-commerce applications like Amazon. Okay, so that's my Amazon application. And we know that in Amazon application, there are so many functionalities available, meaning modules are available. So I'll say this is one such module, and this is another such module. This is another such module, and another module. Every module has a functionality or a piece of code written. So I will say the first module I'm interested is this is a login module. This is a logout module. And this is add items to shopping cart. And this is like make payment. Okay. So I'm just picking 4 modules for simplicity purpose. We need to understand now whether these modules that I have written are independent of each other or dependent of each other, right? So let me also give the answer straight away without asking questions again. See, if I have to log out, the dependency is I have to log in first, right? And if I have to log in, the dependency is I should have been logged out earlier, meaning login and logout are dependent modules, right? Similarly, if I have to make a payment in Amazon, the dependency is you have to be logged in first, otherwise you can't make a payment. Second dependency is your items in the shopping cart has to be present, otherwise you can't make a payment, because you don't make payment for 0 items in the shopping cart, right? So these modules are dependent now, right? So I will say login module is dependent on login module, and logout module is also dependent on login module. Similarly, make a payment is dependent on login module, and make a payment is also dependent on add items to shopping cart, right? So what typically happens is when I'll take one of the names here. So there is a user called, let's say, Ashu. So Ashu says, I wanted to log out. So she clicks on the button called logout. on the mobile app or on the browser. We know that logout is dependent on login. So whenever Ashu clicks on logout, a function call goes to login module. So this we call it as a function call. And the logout module has a question to the login module in the function call that says, is the user Ashu logged in actually? And login module says, let me check the database and find out if Ashu is a logged in user. And after some time, maybe after a few milliseconds, login module gives back a response to logout saying, yes, Ashu is logged in currently. Logout module says, okay, thank you. Now I can log out her because she is logged in. Then successfully her login process will be logged out. Because logout and login modules are dependent to each other, they're dependent on each other, they communicate with each other. Think of another scenario where, let me say Farheen. So Farheen says, I wanted to make a payment. So she clicks on make a payment button on the mobile app, Amazon. So since make a payment is dependent on login, it will make a function call to login module and says, is the user called Farheen logged in because she wanted to make a payment? So login says, let me check the database and figure out if she is logged in. So maybe the answer says, yeah, she is logged in. After that, make a payment makes another function call to add items to shopping cart and says, the current user Farheen who is logged in has to make a payment. Tell me how many items are there in the shopping cart. Then add items to shopping cart says, let me check my internal database and find out whether items are there or not at all there. Then after a few milliseconds, it also gives a response saying maybe 3 items are present in our shopping cart, or 0 items are present, or 1 item or 2 items are present. So if you see, these modules are communicating with each other. They are talking to each other. And how are they communicating with each other? Now that's interesting, right? Example, I'm communicating with you. How am I communicating with you? I'm speaking. That's how I'm communicating, right? And what is the technology I'm using to communicate with you? This software called GoToMeeting I'm using to communicate with you. Similarly, how login and logout are communicating with each other? Are they using Zoom meetings to communicate? No. Are they using Microsoft Teams or GoToMeetings? No. So how are they sending a function call? How are they sending a request and receiving a response? Which technology are they using to answer this? So answer here is the technology they are using is API, Application Programming Interface. So now what is the definition of an API? Let me write it. So I'll say an API is an interface or a component developed to enable data transfer amongst, or I'll say between, modules in an application. So this definition I would have written initially only, but you may not understand. Now with the example of this diagram, we'll understand it. So what is an API? It is enabling data transfer. What is data transfer? Logout asking a request to login is Ashu logged in. Login giving a response to logout saying Ashu is logged in. That's nothing but data transfer by sending request and response. And who are sending request and response? 2 different modules. So I wrote between modules. Where are these modules present? It is present in this blue box, which is Amazon.in application. So I wrote the word in an application. Now, if you read the definition, it is very easy to remember. An API is an interface developed to enable data transfer or data communication between multiple modules in an application. Okay. Now, the second question is, how do they transfer data? Example, I'm saying I'm communicating with you, I'm transferring data to you. So how am I transferring data? Speaking in English. So English is the data transfer I'm doing from Kiran to you and you to Kiran also in English. So English is the language that I'm using to communicate with you because we all feel comfortable to talk in English, which is a common language. But these are modules. Login module cannot speak English. Logout module cannot understand English because they are not human beings. So how are they sending data? Meaning how are they sending request and response? Of course, API technology is helping them. But how are they communicating, in which language? It is not Java, C# or PHP or C++. They don't use such languages to send data. So to send data, what they do is they use something called data descriptive languages, such as there are so many such languages. Initially, the industry used plain text format or clear text format. Later, they used HTML. Later, they used XML. Now they are using JSON, YAML, like that. Just like, I speak to you in English. I speak to someone else in Hindi. I speak at my home in Telugu. I speak to my friends in Tamil. I might speak to my friends in Gujarati based on the languages I speak, right? Similarly, two modules also will talk to each other by sending a request and receiving a response in any of these formats. It is up to the developer to decide which format is correct for their project. So plain text format is pretty much outdated in the industry now. No developer uses it. Plain text is like writing whatever I'm writing in this document, that is like plain text format. You write the way you want. There is no signal, there is no syntax needed, there is no protocol needed. And in fact, plain text format is very clear and simple. A hacker can easily read the text and steal your credentials, steal your sensitive data. Sometimes they tamper it, modify it, delete it, destroy it, or do nothing. So plain text is used probably 40 years before in the industry. Now no one uses it. So after plain text, HTML format came into picture, which is nothing but your hypertext markup language, which we used to describe and to beautify the web pages, right? Same HTML, but here it is used to transfer the data. Where you have the code like hash, the angular brackets, HTML code, then you have code like, I can write some code if you want, but HTML concept is also outdated. When HTML is outdated, the industry came with XML, which stands for extensive markup language. And this is little better than HTML, but today also XML is 80% outdated. 20% today also people are still using it because they find the legacy systems are still using it, so they end up still using it. Then the latest technology the industry is using today is JSON or YAML to transfer the data between any two modules. Let me write some examples of how HTML, XML, JSON looks like. Only for the sake of writing, I'm writing. When I say HTML, it looks like something like this. You should just know how it looks like. That's it. Then I have the body. Then every tag that I open has to be closed. And maybe here I say, this is your trainer hidden. So this is how HTML code looks like, which is outdated today for to transfer the data between any two modules. Okay. If I have to write in plain text format, only this text will be there. So this is one example of plain text format. This is one example of how HTML code looks like. And if I have to talk about XML code, it looks something like this. Here you have something called envelope. Like this, you have the XML code. Okay, this is just 10% syntax I'm writing. By looking at the tags, you should be able to say, okay, this is XML code and this is HTML code. And this is like plain text format. It does not follow any standards, no protocols, no syntax, no guidelines, no process, no standards, no templates there. Okay. Finally, the industry said we all have to use JSON or YAML format. JSON is more preferred these days. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. That is more important for us, JavaScript Object Notation. Now, why the industry is recommending you to use JSON? There are 1,000 reasons for it, and we are not developers, so we don't get into all the reasons, but few reasons I will tell. It is lightweighted. It's so light that it is easy to transfer at a good speed and easy to download at a good speed. Meaning, I would say it is speedier. I would say, meaning faster. Right? It is faster to transfer the data between two modules. it's like the moment you send the data, server receives it. The moment server gives a response, client receives it. So it is very fast because it is lightweight. And it is also very simple to define. It follows something called key value pair structure. Key value pair structure is like husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. So I'll give an example of what is key and value. So key is trainer, value is Kiran. Key is what course, value is API automation. Key is which tool, value is Postman tool. Key is what timings, value is 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. So like that, key and value looks like. And of course, everything has a syntax. So the syntax of this JSON looks like this. So you have a flower bracket and an ending bracket, and in between you have something called key and value. If you have another key and value to write, there is a comma you have to use. Like this, you can write multiple keys and values depending on what is your need. The last key and value will not have a comma. This is the syntax that industry asks you to follow to define a key and value. It's a simple key value I have given. You can also have an array structure if you want. I'll give a simple example of JSON now, like what I said. The trainer name is key and the value is Kiran. Then timings 9 to 10 p.m. IST. Then tool Postman. Then course type automation. Like this, I can write as much as I can. So when you see this structure, it is following a key and value pair structure. The moment you see this, we should say, okay, this is a JSON format. Okay? Developers take care of designing these formats, but your responsibility is to understand how it looks like so that you know how to differentiate between all the four formats. Okay, so let me write here. APIs transfer the data either in text format or HTML format or XML format or JSON or YAML format. YAML is another format similar to JSON, but we are not interested in that format. JSON is what you guys have to be understanding. So if I come back to my definition, an API is an interface developed to enable data transfer between modules in an application using data descriptive formats. That's now the entire definition of an API. Okay, I'll take a pause here. Any questions from anyone to me? Am I clear?
Kiran, here you have mentioned it is a data transfer between the modules of an application. So it will be only within the application, or different applications will also can be communicated with API.
Okay, very good question and appropriate also. So the answer is the second line that you said. APIs are used to communicate within the same application or my application with an external application also. Best example is, see, when you make a UPI payment, right? Google Pay, Phone Pay or Paytm, you are using Google Pay app. It is transferring money by connecting to your HDFC bank account or ICICI bank account, which is an external application from Google Pay. So there also an API is used by Google Pay to talk to your account statement or account balance of HDFC bank. So APIs help you to connect between different modules, whether they are in the same application or different applications.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Think of, so I'll take a simple example again for others also to understand. If I have, say I'm from India, so we all use, I mean, we are all from India. So we use currency Indian rupees, right? The Indian rupee note is valid wherever I go in India. In any state I go, in any city I go, it is still valid. Assuming that I go to China or Japan, if I produce my 2000 rupee note or 500 rupee note and say, okay, give me a burger, it's not valid there. But if I take a US dollar or let's say another currency, a Bitcoin, let's say. If I go to China, Japan, US, UK, Sri Lanka, any country I go and produce that dollar or Bitcoin, they will happily accept it because that dollar has that universal appeal, at least as of today. So think of dollar as your API. Think of Indian rupees as an API within the country, meaning it works within the application only. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Kirti.
Yeah, it's clear now.
So
Thank
does
you.
it mean it is something like private and public?
Yeah, true. You can classify like that as well. Public API, private API. Public means another applications also can access it. If I say personal or private API, I'm not letting my API talk to external applications.
Mhm.
So that wording is also correct. Perfect. Okay, Joy, you have raised your hand. Do you have any question? Okay, you can lower your hand in case if you don't have any question. Okay, any other questions from others until this point?
I have a question, please. Hello?
Joy, you're talking. Joy, you're
Yes,
talking to me.
yes, I'm talking to you, please.
Okay, sorry, I could not hear you. Sorry, what is the
Okay,
question?
okay. Can you please show me the format of XML?
Okay, this is a format, a simple format.
Now, this is for HTML.
No, this is XML. You see the word XML is there here. This is XML.
Okay. And
This is
then
a sample. Sorry.
yes, and then what are the differences between HTML and XML?
Okay, so I'll talk about one difference. HTML is used to beautify your websites as well, whereas XML is not used to beautify your websites.
Okay.
That's one difference, which is not related to the topic that we are doing anyways. And common point is the response from server can come in HTML or it can also come in XML, depending on which technology the developer is using.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay,
So
so we're talking
maybe,
about,
sorry,
yeah,
maybe I just missed in the class. You might have mentioned a difference between JSON and YAML. Could you please say once more a little bit about YAML?
okay, sure. Okay, in fact, I haven't spoken anything on YAML. So
Okay.
JSON and YAML are from the same family. YAML is the parent for JSON.
Okay.
The difference between JSON and YAML is simple. In JSON, there is a format you have to follow, right? This key and value. Key and value are in double quotes, separated by a comma, and they are enclosed in parentheses. YAML format is different. In YAML, they say, okay, let me just copy the same. So in YAML, they say, I don't need this flower bracket. So it is gone. YAML says you don't have to give these double quotations. So it is gone. So key and value can be without double quotations. Like this. So JSON and YAML are almost the same, just that JSON follows that format. YAML is more free. If you want, you can write flower brackets. If you don't want, you don't have to write. If you want double quotations, write. If you don't want, write single quote. If you don't want single quote, don't even write that. So just the format is different. Otherwise, they're almost the same. But most of the times, the developers, they prefer to use JSON only.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So another example I can give is when I say I speak English, you won't be asking me, okay, do you speak British English or United States English, right? Because they're almost the same. So similarly, JSON and YAML are almost the same, but little difference is there, like what I said. Example, so I have the word called environment. I can also call it as environment, but it is essentially the same, right? One is environment, how I pronounce it. Maybe British says it as environment, US calls it as, or Indian English calls it as environment. Both are same. There is no big difference over there. Similarly, JSON YAML are also one and the same with little differences here and there. However, as an automation tester, you and me, we don't have to worry too much about that because we are not designing it, we are not writing it, we are not developing it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we have understood what is an API, the definition, and how the data transfer happens. Then, what are the applications that are using APIs? Let's talk about that. And is it important actually? Is API technology important? Should I learn API testing? Is it actually a course worth learning? It could be from Kiran or from some other trainer, but still. Today, if you look at any mobile app, maybe I think you guys have to consider your own smartphones. Everyone has a couple of apps which are common for all of us, right? We all use one or the other app that helps to book a cab, a taxi, right? So in India, we have, I'll talk about the apps that we have in India and few in abroad. So in India, we have something called Ola, then you have Uber Taxi, then you have Rapido. So I'll take 3 examples here, okay? Then let's say I'm feeling hungry. I have to, order food online. So I can go to Pizza Hut and order food online. Or I have apps like Swiggy, Zomato here in India. I can use these food ordering apps. And maybe I'm feeling bored after the class. So I wanted to watch a movie. I have something called Book My Show or Just Tickets or District something else, right? Then I wanted to beautify myself, dress well. So I have Amazon to spoil myself. I have Myntra, I have Flipkart, etc. I have to make some payments, right? So I use, in India, we have Google Pay, we have Phone Pay, we have Paytm to transfer money online, or your bank app also. Now you guys tell me all whatever apps we have discussed here, apps or the websites that you use, do we use them regularly? Is it a part of our life? You can unmute and say, guys.
Yeah, it is.
Right? It is almost a part of our life. Imagine these apps were not there. What is the drawback? Let us think. I have to go onto the street or onto the main road or the highway, stand and figure out which auto rickshaw is coming my way or which cab is coming my way, start waving my hands, and then book the cab or taxi to the place where I have to go, and I have to start negotiating on the price, which we have done sometime in our life. At least I have done that. That's a pain in the wrong place for me. Then let's say, see, now it's almost 9:30. I didn't had my dinner, and by 10 p.m. in the next 30 minutes, I'll complete the class. Now, let's say I'm a bachelor and I will not be in a mood to cook my food. So I have the options to book food online through these apps. If it was not there, I have to walk to a restaurant, order food, dine in there, eat and come back. That's again a lazy process for me now if I have to do that. Earlier we have done that, today we are not doing it. Again, this movie tickets, right? Today no one goes to the movie theater, stand in the line, book the tickets, right? You use some app or website to book your movie tickets. Today you have solution. And most of the people are, especially the younger generation, the new generation, they do not go to the shops, talk to the person nicely and buy something. You say, hey, online is there, I'll book something online. If I don't like it, I will return it. Similarly, if I have to transfer money, right? So if I say, I'll take someone's name, let's say Blessing. She has to transfer money to me, or I have to transfer money. We have the UPI payments. I'll say, okay, done, tuck. 1 minute you have the money in your account or in my account. Who says, okay, I will go to the bank tomorrow, stand in the line, fill a form, give it in the counter, take an acknowledgement, make 10 calls to Blessing and say, have you got my money? Have you got my money? Then she says, yeah, I got my money, or he says, I got money. Who is doing that these days? At least I don't do that, and forget about me, younger generation doesn't even do that. So we are all used to these shortcuts, right? Meaning all these apps have made us lazy because we are comfortable. Things are happening on the fly. How is that possible? We say because someone developed a mobile app, it is possible. Someone says because we have internet, it is possible. But ideally, my answer is because someone developed an API, it is possible. How am I able to book a Uber taxi? You might say just click on book button, so it is getting booked. Okay. When I click on book button, the book button is calling an API, and this API is finding my GPS coordinates. It is searching for a nearby or far away taxi GPS, and accordingly it is calculating how much you have to pay, because the driver has to come to your place, again take you and drop you at a different location, right? So Uber taxi, Ola, Rapido, any other application similar to that, they use APIs to capture some information. In this case, it is location based APIs. If I talk about Pizza Hut or Swiggy, let's say I'm ordering my favorite, which is, let's say, biryani. The biryani order will go to a nearby restaurant, right? How does Swiggy know that the biryani is still available in that restaurant? Because by 10:30 when I book it, it's almost closing time. How does Swiggy know that they're still serving? Because they have an API call to check what is there in the kitchen, and the restaurant also maintains a software and a database to tell this third-party guy called Swiggy that, hey, right now we have 3 types of biryanis available, one on the vegetarian side, one on the non-vegetarian side. Then how does Swiggy know what is the cost of biryani in that restaurant at that point of time? Again, there is an API to calculate the price of it. And that's what Swiggy shows to me after adding their margin or their profits. So all the apps that we use on our smartphone, they are all doing the luxury, whatever we are enjoying today, because of a simple concept called API, application programming interface. So if APIs are not there, these apps would not be there on your smartphone and on my smartphone. API plays a major chunk of responsibilities for all the benefits that I'm enjoying today or you are enjoying today, be it online shopping, booking a cab, booking a taxi, booking a movie, booking food online, booking an item online. In fact, whatever I'm teaching you today is also because of an API which is transferring my voice to you, your voice to me. Because of an API, I'm able to share my screen. Because of an API, you can share your screen. Because of an API, the class is getting recorded. If APIs are not there, we will never have this training remotely like this. We would have physically been meeting in a space where I'm standing and explaining and you are seated on the chairs and you are listening to me, which is our college days concept, right? So APIs are making your apps, your web applications stay the way they are today. Okay, so therefore I would say every project that's getting developed anywhere in the world, in any organization, in any country, they make use of APIs. You cannot imagine a project, you cannot imagine a mobile app, you cannot imagine a software, a web application or a desktop application that says I don't use APIs. It is very rare and exceptional thing. Probably I would say with a gut feeling, 95% of the projects being prepared from the last 10 years or from the last 15 years until the next 30 years, they're all making use of APIs, which means there is a growing demand always from the last 10 years for API developers, for API testers. Since APIs are getting developed in every company, in every project, there is a need for a test engineer to test these APIs. Because if you can't test the APIs, your project cannot go to production, because there are bad people out there in the dark web called hackers who chase your APIs and steal your data, modify your data, tamper your data, delete your data, eat away the data from your database and sell in the dark web. So every organization says we are hiring API testers. You might not see that exclusively, but when they say we are hiring manual testers, they also mean API testers. Because 15 years back, they said we are hiring manual testers. Today, if they say we are hiring manual testers, it also means I'm looking for someone who knows API testing. So API testing is a default skill set every engineer should know these days. When I say these days, not from yesterday. From the last 10 years, I can say with a gut feeling. Because when I interview anyone, I always look for that skill. Because every project has that API thing. When someone interviews me, they ask me about APIs. So API is a default skill everyone should have. It doesn't matter if you know Selenium automation or performance automation or security automation. They are like next level skills. It's optional probably, but manual testing and API testing is mandatory. Just like, if you cannot speak English, you cannot survive, right? You will survive in your home, maybe in your hometown, but if you have to step out of the city, step out of the state, step out of the province, step out of the country, you cannot survive if you don't know English. In fact, I cannot survive now if I don't speak English to you guys, right? What if I say I'm speaking to you in Telugu? You won't be there because not everyone understands. Maybe 2 to 3 people or 5 people can understand that local language. So the way English is for me, the way English is for you, API is for the entire software community, right? So therefore, there is always a growing demand for API developers and API testers, right? So I would like to underline that statement that whether you pick up this course or not is secondary, but learning is important, whether you learn on your own or through an instructor. That's your choice, that's your decision. Okay. So because the smartphone I have and the apps I use makes use of these APIs, it is necessary for me to understand how APIs work and how I test it, because there is a lot of money involved over there, meaning a lot of money is there for us to get jobs over there. Okay. And these are certain examples I'm giving where mobile apps, web applications, etc., they're all making use of APIs. I'll take a pause here. Any questions, guys, from anyone? Please unmute and let me know if anyone has a question, or you can put it on the chat as well. Okay, cool. Thank you. So what we have covered is the first 2 points. What is an API, examples of APIs, and data descriptive formats, right? The next big thing that we should talk about is introduction towards client and server architecture, which is essential for all the API testers. I may not complete it today only because I need tomorrow's class as well. So I'll start with the basics about client and server architecture. So this is my client and this is the server. Client, server. I'm sure everyone is aware of what is a client, what is a server, and you're also aware of the architecture to some extent, right? But after my class, after today's class and tomorrow's class, the way you understand client and server architecture will be completely different. What you assume you know will be different from what you have learned today and tomorrow. So just be with me until tomorrow, you'll understand. So let me help you understand what is a client, right? So a client is any application that submits data to the server, and server is any other application that receives data from client or request from client, analyzes the request, process it, and then gives back a response to client. Example of a client would be any application that I use, such as browser. See, I use browser every day to send a request. My request could be google.com, gmail.com, facebook.com, instagram.com, or my bankname.com, right? That's a request I'm sending using my browser. So any tool that you use to submit a request is your client. And the client that we are learning in this course is Postman. The Postman is automation tool that I'm teaching, which is our client. Apart from Postman, I'm also teaching you other tools that you know, which is Newman. I'm showing you GitHub. I'm showing you Jenkins, etc. Right? They're all our client side applications only. And examples of server applications include, so again in server you have application servers, web servers, and infrastructure servers. If I say infrastructure servers, you have AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. They're all infrastructure servers where you take the servers on lease to put your code on the application servers or on the web servers. So examples of application servers included Apache Tomcat, Microsoft IIS, Nginx, IBM WebSphere, Glassfish, etc. So these are a few of the examples of web servers or application servers where your project code is present and that application server is present physically on the AWS server. So this is some examples about client and server and the definition. And we understood that the job of a client is to send a request to server, right? So the client is sending a request to the server, and what the server does is it will analyze the request, process it, and give back a response to the client. So this guy is sending a request, and this guy server is giving a response. What exactly is a request and what exactly is a response? A request could be anything, right? So example, if I say, okay, Ashu, are you following me? That's a question. That's a request. Now Ashu says, yes, Kiran, I'm following you. That's a response, right? Technically speaking, my request could be amazon.in on the browser. So that's a request I have submitted on my browser, which is Chrome client. So I will say, this is the request I have submitted. And have I got a response? Yes, you see the website is loading on my computer and I can see the entire response. And any website always gives the response in HTML format. So I will say, I have got the response. It is in HTML format. That's one example of a request. Let me give one more example of a request. So that's a request I'm typing on my browser. And you see, I got a response. So this is the request I have supplied on my browser. And did I get a response? Yes, something is printed on my computer, on my browser. That's in JSON format. So I will say, yes, I got the response in JSON format this time. So you see, with one request, I'm getting the response in HTML. And with another request, I'm getting the response in JSON. So understand the point here that your responses will always be different based on the request you are sending. Let us say now I'm sending another request on my browser, and the request is going to the server now. I've pressed enter, and the response will load here. You see the response has come here. This time the response I see is in XML format. This is the request I have sent, and the response I have received this time is in XML format. Let me type some other request. And this time the response I got is different. So this is the request I have sent. And the response I have got last time is in text format. Okay, this is a normal text only, right? So each time when I send a request, the response I'm receiving is different. So here I will make a statement. When the client sends a request to server, you will definitely get response, but the response can be in any descriptive format. Sometimes it can be HTML if developer is using HTML as the format. Some other developer might use XML. Some other developer might use JSON. Some other developer might use YAML. Some other developer might use text format. So point to one, I want you guys to underline or make a notice. When the client sends a request, the response can come in any format which is decided by the server. Who is telling the server in which format to give? Your developer, because developer is the guy who is deciding in which format the response should come, and that is what he is writing on the server side when he is deploying it. Okay, That is the first 10% of client and server architecture you understood now in this class. Again, I'll take a pause. Have you understood question 1? What is a client? Examples of client. Question 2, what is a server? Examples of server. Question 3, how the request looks like. Question 4, how the responses will come from server. Do you say yes for all the 4 questions, or you guys have something to ask me? Guys, say something either by unmuting or on the chat, or give me an emoticon like thumbs up. I don't hear from anyone. Are you all with me?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, 3 responses. Thank you. Okay, so that is step 1, when client and server communicate with each other. Step 2 is whenever I send the request, right? You see here, for every request, there is something called HTTPS, sometimes HTTP. We call it as protocol, right? We all know that. So the second thing that you have to understand in client and server architecture is every request we send from client to server is associated with a protocol. Now, what is a protocol? I would define a protocol as a set of rules, regulations, standards, guidelines that helps client and server to communicate with each other. Example, in this session I'm doing with you, I'm following a protocol. Like I'm speaking to you in English, that's a protocol. 2, I'm asking you guys, do you have any questions? That's a protocol I'm following. 3, I'm drawing something so that you feel it looks like a live class rather than already showing you a diagram which is prepared by me in the previous batch. That's a protocol 3 I'm following, right? So protocol is typically some rules that client and server follows to share information between each other. And in the industry, whenever client and server communicate with each other, there are different protocols available. Okay, so protocols such as HTTP is there, HTTPS is there. You heard of these protocols so many times in your college days, in your office. But let's see if you have known more information. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That is a full form. And why did the industry created HTTP protocol? Very simple. It is used to transfer data between client and server. Now, what do I mean by data? Meaning some text, images, audio, video, etc. Any format you can send between client and server using HTTP protocol. Okay, great. But the problem is this protocol is not secured by design. Meaning, when the industry created HTTP protocol in the early 1990s, the protocol itself is called as unsecured protocol by design. So what do I mean by unsecured or not secured? It means your data is not safe. That is, your data transfer is not safe and cannot be guaranteed that client or server will receive it. In between, hacker can hack it, steal it away. Just like thief will come and take it away from you. So when I use HTTP protocol and transfer the data from client, so client says I have a request and the client is sending a request to server, and the request is, okay, I'm sending you $100, take it. While it is going to the server, since it is using HTTP protocol, the hacker can remove 10 and take that to him, while only $10 will go to server. So server assumes that client sent only $10 because server will never know how much money client sent. In between, hacker ate away the remaining $90. Server received only $10. So server is of the opinion that client sent $10. Client is of the opinion that I have sent successfully $100. But the real culprit is hacker here. This problem happens if you use HTTP protocol because the data transfer is in plain text format. Okay, so this protocol transfers the data in plain or clear text format. This protocol is created in Web 1.0 era, which is like that in those 1990s. In 1990s, internet is like digital newspaper. You visit abcd.com, read the content, that's it. You never had something called login process, logout process. You never had online shopping. You never had online payments. You never had like, subscribe, share, etc. in those years. But slowly, the beginning of or the late 90s, which is like 1998, 1997, 1999, the industry started coming up with email concepts, hotmail.com, coolmail.com, yahoo.com, Yahoo Messenger. So there, the data became private because you have to log in, see your emails, electronic emails, and your emails are personal those days. So the industry thought we have to create a secured protocol. So then they designed the upgraded version of HTTP. And when HTTPS came, we called it as Web 2.0 era. So it is also the same tool, same protocol. So it is also hypertext transfer protocol, but with security. It is also used to transfer data between modules, and this protocol is secured by design. That is, your data transfer is safe and is guaranteed that client and server will receive it in the same format. And this transfers the data in encrypted format. Your data is sent in encrypted format. If client is sending $100, server will receive $100. If server is sending thank you, client will receive thank you. No hacker can decrypt it easily. So how did industry converted HTTP to HTTPS? Right? It is not just by adding the letter S, right? So this protocol uses cryptographic protocols such as SSL or TLS. So SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer. TLS stands for Transport Layer Security, which means HTTP protocol when added to SSL, it became HTTPS. Or HTTP protocol when added to TLS, it became HTTPS. So SSL and TLS is a certificate that's added to HTTP protocol to design your HTTPS certificate. Okay? And remember, today, as I speak to you, SSL concept is outdated. Today, everyone is using the latest concept, which is TLS. Now, within TLS, we have version 1.0, version 1.1, TLS version 1.2, TLS version 1.3. So TLS 1.3 is latest. This is outdated again. Okay. Now, why am I saying this is, these are your test cases in API testing also. If your developer says we are using SSL protocol in our developed API, it is a bug. It's a very old protocol we should not use. The developer is using TLS, it is good, but the version number is also important. If your developer is using 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, it is outdated, which means your data will be at risk. Hackers can reverse hack your data. They can decrypt it if you use TLS version 1.2, 1.0, 1.1. TLS version 1.3 is latest today, so we have to use TLS version 1.3. So in the client and server architecture, I would like to tell here that you have to use HTTPS with TLS version 1.3 in your APIs. Now the question is, how do I know whether my developer is using HTTP or HTTPS? Okay, so let me show that to you. So if I go to this website, this is my API request I'm sending on the browser. So here I see HTTPS. So I know HTTPS is being used, but how would I know whether it is SSL or TLS? Simple, on your browser, right click on inspect, and here on the right side you have a tab called privacy and security. Click on it, and once you see security overview, just refresh your browser again. I'm refreshing the browser, and here you will get some data under main, origin, or security. Let us wait here. Okay, now it has loaded. So under security, if you come, click on our HTTP, the URL, and here you see it tells the developer is using TLS, which is good because at least it is not SSL. But within TLS, 1.2 is being used. But what is the latest? 1.3. So I found a bug. So this is one API I have on the internet. I just executed on the browser. So developer is using old version of TLS, which is 1.2. So this will be treated as a bug. Okay. Let us say I wanted to try something else. Maybe I will say Isha Training Solutions.org. It's a website. And here I see security. Now you see this website is using TLS version 1.3. This is latest. So you don't need any additional tools to find even the protocol that your developer is using. Okay. So in the client and server architecture, we have discussed what is a request, what is a response, what are the clients and servers examples. And the first thing we have learned is protocol. Every API request is associated with a protocol. It can be HTTP or HTTPS. We recommend HTTPS. Within HTTPS, we recommend TLS and not SSL. Within TLS, we recommend version 1.3. Okay, that's all I have for today's, guys. Tomorrow we'll continue the session for client and server architecture, and we'll try to complete client and server architecture. We still have 6 points to discuss about client and server architecture, and that's something which is useful while we are automating APIs as well. So please don't assume that whatever I'm teaching today is not related to API testing. Every point I'm saying is related to the practicals that we are going to do from chapter 4 onwards. Okay. Before we sign off, you have 5 minutes time. If you have any questions, please unmute and ask me now. I see 2 hands raised. Unmute yourself, please. Okay, I cannot.
I have a question. Is concerning what is planned or expected to learn during this course. Is it expected to use Python to automate the API testing or to do security testing?
Okay, in this course, we use JavaScript to automate the APIs, not Python.
Is it planned to do some security testing at the end or only API?
No, we are not doing any security testing, but 1 or 2 test cases related to security we will discuss in the course. But we are not getting into the security testing concept. For that, I have a different batch. In this batch, it is purely focused on functional API automation testing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions from other participants?
Yeah, you have mentioned the protocol is used to transfer the data, and API also does the same thing, right? So how they are different?
Okay, you're saying how protocol and API are different?
Yeah, because both are doing the same thing, right? The protocols are also doing the data transfer, and
No.
API also is doing that.
Okay. So protocol never does data transfer. Only API does the data transfer. Protocol helps in the data transfer process, whether it should be a secure transfer or an unsecured transfer.
Okay, it defines the way how to transfer.
Yeah, that's right.
Protocol. Okay.
Yes, but who is transferring it? API is transferring it.
Okay.
Any other questions from others?
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so are you planning to do some rest assured API automation?
Okay, rest assured is a tool used to automate APIs. just like Postman. So I'm using Postman tool here, and we are automating REST APIs. So REST assured is different, REST is different. REST is a technology used to develop APIs, and we are taking that technology to test in our course. We're talking about the tool called REST assured. I'm not teaching that tool, I'm teaching Postman.
So Postman basically is just a manual that you're going to do.
No.
How are you calling it a automation? Automation, I think it's a rest assured tool that you automate API with.
Okay. See, Postman is a tool that can be used to automate APIs like REST assured as well. Postman can also be used to test APIs in a manual way, which I'm also teaching in this course. So I'm teaching both API manual testing, API automation testing, using the tools like Postman, Newman, and Jenkins. Rest assured is not the tool I'm showing in this course.
Would there be another course that you guys are teaching rest assured with the tool
Yes,
rest assured?
yes. There is another course exclusively for rest assured. You can talk to Isha team and they can guide you the details of that course.
But I wanted to learn manual testing too.
Then this is the course.
Is there a course combined with the manual as well as the rest assured? First manual and then rest assured? Like a combination of two?
I don't think so, but you might have to check with Isha team.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But in this course, if you're specific about the tool, rest assured, then yeah, I'm not teaching that in this batch. But if you are saying I want to learn API automation and API manual, then Postman is also the right tool because that's one of the famous tools in the market. And that's what I'm teaching in this course.
What other courses do you run?
Sorry?
What other courses do you run as a trainer? Like you're saying that
Okay.
API security testing and
Okay.
do you teach
So
Java or what other courses do you run?
okay, I run courses on accessibility testing, performance testing, security testing, API automation testing, DevOps, where I teach GitHub and Jenkins. Yeah, these are the courses I deliver.
And this is again a gap of 45 days. You will come up with a new batch. Is it like that it works?
No, see, in every month I do 3 or 4 batches, one for API testing with Postman, parallelly another batch for accessibility testing, parallelly another batch for security testing, parallelly another batch for GitHub and Jenkins. Just the timings are different. Example, this automation course I'm teaching you right now is 9 to 10. 8 to 9, like 1 hour earlier to this. I just started the batch yesterday. Yesterday was a demo. Today was day 1. It was for GitHub and Jenkins. And security and accessibility, I'm starting sometime in this month. Based on the number of nominations I see, I might start it soon or a little later as well. But if you are interested in enrolling any of these courses, you can have a conversation with Isha team. They'll give you more details on when likely the batch will start. For all the 4 batches, I'm the trainer.
Okay, and what about the performance? Is there any plan for starting soon?
Yes, we are starting soon. We also have another trainer. He or she might be starting real quick. I might be taking some additional time to start the batch based on the students' enrollment.
For the performance testing?
Yes.
So is the enrollment, I mean, the interest is through the website, isn't it? So so there might be some courses available for the performance testing by you.
Okay. So, okay, 2 answers I'll give you. One, if you are interested to know the dates on the website, we have mentioned it,
Okay.
the dates and the timings, and also the trainer profile is there. I do have another trainer who does performance testing with Jmeter too. He's equally experienced like me, and he does fantastic. Two, Again, if you're looking me to have as a trainer for performance testing, but again, for that also, if you talk to Isha, they'll tell you the dates when I will be able to start.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
One more question, Kiran.
Sure.
So when you automate, there are already scripts in the tests, which is already written. So you can also use those scripts and put it in the test field. So is that the way that you're going to do the automation?
Okay, so in the Postman tool, we have an interface where we can write the code using JavaScripts. So we write the code and we test our APIs and validate whether the response we are getting from server is correct or incorrect. So we
Oh,
write
I
multiple
understand that. I understand. But there are some um pre-written snippets in the Postman.
Postman.
So
Hmm.
are you going to take from those snippets and paste it into the the platform, and that's how you're planning to do the automation?
Okay, so three approaches I take. The approach one is what you said. We use the existing snippets and understand. Approach two I also take is we write the code on our own using
Mm-hmm.
the autocomplete feature that Postman provides. That's how you learn something more than the existing snippets. Approach three is we use the Postbot, which is the AI engine that Postman is giving, using which you write the prompt and you get the code snippet automatically. Fourth approach is when you run the entire collection, there is an option that says, do you want me to generate automated scripts on the fly? And the tool generates it. So I'm teaching all the four options. Like if I say I'm lazy, we have the Postbot, we have the templates, snippets. If you say, no, I'm an active guy, I want to write on my own, I'm even teaching that as well.
Okay, so my understanding is you are not taking a pre-written snippets and use your own coding from the scratch to validate
Yes,
the request.
yes. I will use the snippets also because you should learn even that. I will write my own code also, and while I'm writing it, I will explain also how am I writing and how you will also write it in the future.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you.
So, Kiran, to my understanding, I think Anjum is asking, do we have a hands-on session? Like we type and we spend some time debug, or you just copy paste and then explain it and then ask us to do after the class. So, how is the class going to be? Like we do along with you so that we get more hands-on, we get errors while doing it, or go back, look at the recording and then do it. And then if we have some issues, we come back. So is that, or are we going to have hands-on in the class? We do along with you.
Okay, understood, Murli. Let me answer it. So in the class, I will be doing it practically for that entire 1 hour session. I would not encourage you guys to do along with me because if that is the case, you will lose the point that I'm trying to make there. But yes, I always request the students to practice it after the class. Should you have question, immediately you can WhatsApp me on the chat. I will answer it. Otherwise, in the next day when we catch up, the first 5-10 minutes, you guys can share your screen and say, Kiran, this is where I am failing. I'm getting an error. How would I troubleshoot? How would I debug? Then you will get an answer then and there itself in the class from me.
Okay.
Understood? Yeah. So that
Yeah,
I do with every
thank you.
batch. So that I do with every batch. Not that you asked and I'm saying it. I encourage participants to practice after the class. Come back to me in the next class. If you want to share your screen, share it. I'll solve it 100% then and there itself.
But that would not give us enough time to, maybe we have a long program or long code to troubleshoot. Are you accessible in like other timings other than the class time?
Yes, I mean, that's why I said WhatsApp, right? You guys can WhatsApp me the screenshot or the error and I can guide you guys.
Okay. All right. That
But
sounds good.
yeah. Otherwise, if you think, I mean, if any participant says, can I share my screen for 10-15 minutes? I'm always open for that, because when I'm helping one, I'm sure the remaining students also benefit out of it. Cool. Cool, guys. I hope today's class is informative to you all. And I've seen a lot of questions. Thank you for asking questions. And there are so many questions asked on the chat. I have been responding to you guys on the chat as well. So please look into that. One last question I see from Vamshi is, are there any prerequisites? I would say, Vamshi, it's mentioned on the website. Please go through it. But otherwise, if I have to answer it, if you're coming from manual testing background, or if you have basic understanding of what is testing, that's more than sufficient to enroll in my course, because I'm starting from very basics. So that would definitely help you. Okay. Cool, guys. So thank you very much. And if you guys are happy with the way the discussions are happening and the way I'm teaching, please go ahead, complete your enrollments with Isha team. Again, I say, if you have questions, ask us on WhatsApp. We'll be happy to assist you further. Thank you very much. Good night. See you guys tomorrow. Stay safe. Bye-bye.